Hello, hello, blissful parents. Michelle Abraham here, your host. I'm bringing to you today an amazing guest, Shellee Howard. Shellee and I are going to dive into the topics of why third grade is not too early to start preparing for college. So we're going to dive in and talk all about getting your kids college ready for school. But Shellee's got a really interesting background, and I'll share a little bit about it with you in a moment. But let's first say hi. Hi, Shellee. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for having me.
You are so welcome. Now, you have got kids in so many different colleges and graduate schools all across the US, which is amazing, from UCLA to Harvard to film school, which is very awesome. And you're a mom of four, which is amazing. And Shellee is the founder and CEO of College Ready and CR Tutoring and Test Strategies. So she is a college graduate and a certified independent college strategist. She is a best-selling author and a member of HECA, which is an ethics organization, and a member of SOFA, which is Society of Financial Awareness. So now you're a mother of four young adults who have all been through college and university, and you are on a mission to help families get their kids through school and come out of it debt-free. And I was just sharing with her that my experience was coming out of college was not debt free. And it wasn't because of the college tuition, it was because of the free credit card I got at the beginning of school. And oh my, no, what a dangerous thing that was. If only I had known what rates were, then I would have maybe not gone to Australia for 6 months and instead of back to college. So, anyways, I learned from my mistakes, but we're here today to help you guys kind of have a good understanding of that well, first of all, open your eyes that this is possible. It's not something I really thought was possible to be able to leave school debt free. And then also that Shellee's got tons of experience in helping kids not only get into those schools, but also like how to strategize that debt free experience leaving the school. So, Shellee, I toss the baton to you. I want to hear all about how you got started on this route and what you have to share with our parents today.
Well, thank you so much. And I just want to say to your parents who are listening out there, I have actually walked in your shoes, personally been there, done that. I was even a single mom at one point through the process. So I can say I've walked in those shoes too. And the thing I want to really emphasize today is what you don't know will cost you. And that's either in time and money. So I'm really hoping that I can give you a ton of value where you can feel empowered to make some really wise decisions. So I'll give you a brief background. I grew up in Laguna Beach, California, and neither of my parents went to college. And so I remember coming to them and saying, "What do you think of this college thing?" This was a long time ago. And one parent said, "Absolutely think it's a great idea." And the other one said, "No, go get a job." And I was like, oh, now I really don't know what to do. So I went to my high school counselor and they said, "Yeah, you don't need to go. You can go if you want." I'm like, nobody wants to help me with this. So I did what any great teenager would do. And I picked two colleges, one in San Diego because I wanted to surf, and the other in Colorado because I wanted to ski. And that was my whole big college planning adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Then I got into both schools, and I had to decide. That's when my parents had an opinion. San Diego State was very cheap because I was a California resident. Colorado was not. And so my dad made it very easy. He goes, "You go to San Diego, I pay. You go to Colorado, you pay." I'm like, off to San Diego I go. So that was the extent of it back then. I didn't take an SAT or an ACT. I didn't take AP classes. Like, whoa, it's changed.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll fast forward now to my firstborn. He came home in, I think it was about 2007, 2008. And he goes, "Mom, I know exactly," he was in eighth grade, "I know exactly what I want to do when I grow up." And I'm like, whoa, okay, then that's fantastic. Let me have it. He says, "I want to be a brain surgeon. I want to go to a top tier school." And I'm like, okay. And it got really quiet because my little heart was pounding so fast. I'm like, what am I going to do?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anything about this world. And we didn't have any medicine in our family. So I did what, a mama bear would do. And I really started seeking information. At that time, Google wasn't the go-to. It
Mhm.
was kind of the new to. And I just remember making phone call after phone call and just not getting any help. So I went back to school and I got my master's degree, and then I got certified as an independent college consultant, which is fine. I mean, that was great. But really, where I learned the magic is I started touring 25 colleges a semester. And I just dove in deep. I spend about 20 to 30 hours on top of my full time career. And my firstborn did what I recommended. So that's a big and, right? And not every teenager is going to do what mom recommends. So we know that. Bottom line is, when he graduated from high school, he had 7 top tier schools, attended Harvard, and graduated pre med debt free. And then went on to medical school at UC San Diego, and now is an orthopedic surgeon at UCLA. So I tell you this because I did it and I didn't think I could do it, and it was totally possible.
Mhm.
And with a strategy and a plan, I've duplicated it for the last 15 years. So I've been helping families all over the world, inside and outside of the US, find the perfect college academic fit, social fit, athletic fit, and financial fit. How we do that is based on the student. And everybody wants to know what's the magic? The magic is helping the student build a resume that represents who they are, why they matter. And oh, by the way, that's a really cool adult thing to do too.
Yeah.
And then helping their family get their financial house in order. The FAFSA looks at the second semester of the sophomore year and the first semester of the junior year. For those not familiar with what the FAFSA is, it is a free government form that you must complete if you want free money. That's the bottom line. If you want to pay full price, don't complete it. If you want free money, absolutely need to complete it. And so you completed the October of your senior year in high school. But like I mentioned, they look back at 2 years prior. So you really need to get your finances in order, because the FAFSA looks at some things and they don't look at other things. You could read the FAFSA, but I promise it will put you to sleep. Or I'm happy to help you understand how to get that so you can lower your expected family contribution. Your student can earn scholarships. Last year, our students earned over $17.6 million in scholarships.
Wow.
That's better than the stock market.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that is how College Ready came to be.
Mhm. Very cool. Well, that's a really interesting way that you've gone about, actually turned it into your career, which was amazing. But now, like, how so great that you have this knowledge and these tools to help families get ready. And I bet a lot of our listeners were like, what? High school year? What? We have to start paying attention to that so early. And yes, there's so many things that we don't know what we don't know, right? And there's so many different things depending on the kids. So you really emphasize that it really depends on the student. So what are some things that our kids should be looking at doing to kind of like broaden their resume early on in the school years that can really help them with that later on?
So everybody starts this process when they're ready. I've had a lady call me while she was still pregnant and wanted to know how to best do this. And I have seniors calling me daily right now in tears. I wish I would have gotten help. I'm stressed out and I'm freaked out. Please help me. So it really depends on what your comfort level is. The best way I can put it is when before third grade, read to them, read with them, put your cell phone in a book so it looks like you're reading, and they're going to want to love to read. That is huge before third grade. If you could just do that one thing, I promise it's a game changer. After third grade is when they start breaking students into the gifted and talented, and the average or needs a little bit more help. At that point, you'll have a pretty good idea of your child's gifts and talents. You want to nurture that. If they're good at math, praise them. give them opportunities to show how amazing they are. So then fifth grade hits. Fifth grade is the first time they're going to be tested and evaluated to the point that it's going to make a difference for middle school, which could be sixth, seventh, or eighth, depending on where you live. Mm-hmm. And then it gets real in eighth grade because the eighth grade classes they take will pivot the student what they can take their freshman year. Mm-hmm. Okay. So eighth grade is when you really have to get pretty clear on what is my student capable of doing? What do they want to do? And how can we set them up? So super important by eighth grade, you start to have these conversations. The other thing is, I encourage you when you're on family vacations, stop at a local college, walk around. You don't have to sign up. You can just walk around and talk about it with your kids, like a museum, like art, like anything else. Make it fun, keep it PG rated, and just show them it's not more just school. It's something magical. It's something amazing where they get to learn how to adult. Then really the most important time you can really start thinking about this is when they promote from eighth grade. The summer between eighth and ninth grade is the most underutilized time period of all the years. They don't have any homework. They really have nothing to do. And it's just fun time to do community service, time to do their extracurricular, time to do leadership, time to do exploration. Do I like karate or do I like cooking? Right? These are some fun things. College planning is not just picking the name of a school and then forcing a student into it. It's helping your child figure out their core values, their gifts, their talents, and their annoyances. That is the perfect plan if your student is ready. And it really depends on that maturity level.
And I guess between eighth grade and ninth grade, they're not allowed to work yet. So they're still young. They don't have other commitments. So yeah, that's a great idea. I know for myself, I was heavily involved in Girl Guides, and in Girl Guides, we did a lot of service work and a lot of volunteering and a lot of organizations and things like that. And boy, I know that it played a huge role in my resume. And it helped me get into a college, but the college it was the program that was like a very small program and it had a lot of applicants, but I know that really helped my resume. So what are some of the things that they look for on college resumes that, parents and kids can start looking at now? Is it like extracurriculars, volunteer, community things, sports?
Right. So the number one thing is their GPA. Number one, if a student doesn't have a certain GPA, they may not even be looked at. Right. So that is like the first gatekeeper. And it's important for the student to understand they need to show some ability to handle rigor. Instead of taking all easy A's, take a few classes that's going to challenge them to show colleges that they can do college level work. So having the best 4-year academic plan is really important. The second thing they look for is your test scores. You want to make sure that your student has the right preparation to take standardized tests, which, oh, by the way, will help them all the way through college take tests. The third thing is community service. So our students in our program, they do what's called passion with purpose. Every student in our program commits to me that they will do 200 service hours before they apply to college. Why? Because I believe, Shellee's belief, is that every student who was 17 or 18 graduated from high school with 200 service hours, we would live in a very different world. It's my contribution to society. Why it's good for the student is while they're serving, they figure out, do I like to lead or follow? Do I like the elderly? Do I like babies? Do I like medicine? Do I like accounting? Do we even like people? Like, they find out some pretty fascinating things about themselves because they're not hold back in fear of, judgment. They're serving people. Whatever they're doing is better than what these people would have. Right. And so community service is massive. So doing that is super important for the student in their growth. Extracurriculars, which would be sports or ASB or, visual and performing arts or, anything they do outside of school.
Mhm.
Colleges are going to look at that. They're going to look at letters of recommendation and they're going to look at the essay. So students want to be mindful. The application is going to ask them for 10 activities, honors, and awards. If a student does not have 10 activities, honors, and awards, they need to go get them. Very simple, right? I get seniors all the time and they've done like 2 things, spend a lot of time gaming or a lot of time on their computer or whatever that is, but their application is blank because of it. Right. So listeners, please know it doesn't have to be massive, crazy expensive. It could be a free CPR course, right? It could be, something, a cooking class. It could be so many wonderful exploratory things that, oh, by the way, is going to help the student figure out their major and their career and their future. Those are what colleges look for.
Those are great. Yeah, the 10 things. I think I would imagine that most parents, I mean, I certainly don't. My kids are still, 10 and under, but that's definitely not something that I was aware of, that it was 10 things that they look for. So 10 awards or certifications and activities. That's interesting. What's been one of the most surprising things that you learned in your discovery through all of these college applications and helping strategize for families?
That's 2 different answers, but I'll go with the most surprising. For some reason, there are a few families who believe that it's time for their 17-year-old to adult and figure this out on their own. College is the cost of somebody's home. It is not a good time for a 17-year-old to figure this out on their own. They need you, parents. And if it's not a good parental conversation, they need help. And unfortunately, high school counselors are also the ones dealing with the naughty students. They're dealing with a lot more than just preparing for college, and they have hundreds or thousands of students. So you don't want to count on that person being that resource for your child. So really it comes down to, you could do your taxes or you hire a CPA and they help you with tax code and you save money. Same type of thing here. If you can't do it and don't have 20 or 30 hours extra a week to figure this out, you definitely need help. And it's okay to ask for help. College admissions has changed in just the last 4 years. Actually, since COVID, it's changed and it continues to change. So even if you had one child go through it and 4 years later, it's another child, it's a whole nother program. Especially if you did it, it's not like that at all.
Right. So Shellee, tell me about the program. I know you help parents and kids get ready for college through a program working with you. And apparently, and of course, it sounds like it saves tons of time on the parents' part of the research and things that goes into all the college preparation. Tell us a little bit about your program.
Absolutely. So everything we do is custom to the student, because no 2 students, as you know, if you have your own children, are the same. So we must meet them where they're at. So we have a couple of different options. I have a best-selling book that is called How to Send Your Student to College Without Losing Your Mind or Your Money. And it's a bit of a workbook for a parent to get started having those conversations. I'm going to gift it to your listeners. At the end of the call, I'll give them the link to that. The next is a do-it-yourself program. It's an online where it guides you to help your child figure out what are they passionate about and what are they an advocate for, and to create a passion with purpose project. So that is an online option. Then we have a group program, which is a small group. And then we have a custom one-to-one, the College Ready plan. So really it depends where your student is. But what I would tell your listeners is something that College Ready is very unique in that we charge the same thing if you start in 8th grade or your senior year. So you either get 4 years for that price, or you get 1 year. 4 years of gentle, dripping love and support, or 1 year of fire hose. Hope you're mature enough because here it comes. So I have learned that incentivize families to start sooner, which means there's less mistake and less stress in the family's home. So I encourage you all, if you're listening, to really lean in. Please really think about how that, if you really want to pay full price, you can do it anytime. Don't worry about it. Your kid, as long as they do their job, will get into college.
Wow, sounds like it saves a lot of. I love the 4 years of guided, gentle support. It sounds good. So what you're trying to say is that the earlier a parent can get a hold of you and get into your program, into your world, the easier it's going to be for both the kids and the parents, and also just a little bit more guided support along the way as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I love your passion project idea. I think that's fantastic because I know that's one of the things that set my resume apart was all the extra curricular community service and things that I did growing up as well. So yeah, that's amazing. So where can we find out more information about your program and how to connect with you and how to work with you?
For sure. So for your listeners, if you go to www.freebook.collegereadyplan.com, that will get you a copy of my best-selling book. If you would like to get on my newsletter where we give a ton of free information, go to our website, which is www.collegereadyplan.com. Right there.
Collegereadyplan.com.
And the planning is the important piece, collegereadyplan.com. And, sign up for the free newsletter. We are on every social media channel, including TikTok right now. And it's all under College Ready or College Ready Plan. So feel free to follow us, like us, and we just want to give you every resource available for you to be successful.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today, Shellee. And, parents, this is what I was saying in the beginning. Grade 3 is never too late to start thinking about college. So I know you guys have kids in all sorts of different grades right now in school, but no matter where you are, know that there's help and support. And the earlier you start, the easier you can make it on yourselves. So, and your kids too. So if they know what they need to get into college, the sooner the better. Then that makes it easier for everybody, I think. And having someone like Shellee by your side to support you through it, I think would be a really great way to go. So make sure you reach out to Shellee's business and her website, collegereadyplan.com. And and I think it was freebook.collegereadyplan.com. And you guys can get those free books and get on her newsletter to start receiving tons of information. Shellee, any last words of advice for our parents today?
I guess the most important one is really approach college as a business. It's such an emotional thing for people, but colleges need your student as much as you want your child to get into a good education. So use that same return on investment mindset and go and get a great deal.
Love it. All right. Well, thank you so much, Shellee. And blissful parents, go out there and have a blissful week. We'll see you again, same time, same place next week.